huge thanks to OK Jazzy. They're your go-to for the 2026 World Cup and an incredible retro archive. They got decades of iconic league classics, from legendary 90s designs to the rarest club heritage kits. Whether it's a high-performance player version or a timeless vintage look, prices start at just £15, 4.5 Trustpilot rating and fast shipping. Use code Chris for 8% off and grab your piece of football history now.
Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat Podcast. My name is Chris Cowlin and I am live here from Sydney, Australia. I've just watched the game at the Allianz Stadium. Tottenham Hotspur won, Sydney FC won, and then Spurs won the game 4-2 on penalties. Now, we are live on YouTube, live on X and Facebook, so please do get involved. Let us know what you made of this evening's game, or this morning for you in the UK. Let us know what you made of the game, and let us know also what you have made of pre-season so far. Now, as per usual, we've got 3 channel regulars with us. Back with us is Ricky Norwood. Ricky, how are you?
I am very well, my friend. I am very well. The sun is shining in the UK, so you got to utilize it before it goes. You know what I mean? So I'm out in the garden today. But yes, just super excited about what's to come. Not just today's pre-season, but just what's to come. This summer feels like a summer of change. So yeah, I'm revitalized, I'm re-energized, and I'm ready to go, my friend.
Well, it's great to have you back. It does feel like a very, very long time since I've heard your voice on here. Yes. Also back with us is Kate. Kate, how are you?
I'm good, Chris. I'm the complete opposite to Ricky in the fact that I'm sick to death of the sunshine and roll on autumn because I'm melting sitting there in front of my fan. And as you can see, I never go out in the sun. I actually think I might be a vampire because, you know, I just avoid it. But I agree with Ricky. It feels like a summer of change. I feel a little bit more comfortable when the forwards come in, but, you know, things are looking up with De Zerbi, so I'm buzzing for the new season. It's great to be back.
I've got to say, actually, it was lovely and warm in Palm Beach this morning, but it is pretty cool here this evening. And Palm Beach, actually, is the home of Summer Bay, where they film Home and Away. So it was quite interesting this morning.
Yeah, you're bragging now, all right, Chris. We all know that you're in Australia, okay? Palm Beach, God, dear. Oh, God, can't take it nowhere.
It's all part of following Tottenham Hotspur all around the world, you know.
Yeah. And you know what? Bless you. But you know what? Jokes aside, Chris, bless you, bro, because I know that you do this every year. Wherever it is pre-season, you're always there, bro. And appreciate the videos, appreciate the insight, appreciate the jokes, and it feels like we're there when we see your videos. So keep it up, man. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was only mucking around. I'll tell you what, this has actually been the most tiring trip I've ever done. I must say that. Also back with us is Orchi, all the way from Istanbul, Turkey. Orchi, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Slowly recovering. As I was saying earlier, the you know, after last season, you know, this summer, you know, came good. Obviously, the transfer business we're doing, the way the club are behaving, finally, we're seeing things that we wanted to see for many years. So yeah, good. The sun's shining here as well. Quite hot, mid-30s here in Istanbul. So quite warm. Yeah, I sometimes, I'm a bit like Kate. Every now and then, I wouldn't mind a bit of a grey, overcast day just to have a break. But it's literally like this pretty much every single day, and it probably will be like this until like sort of October, November time. So yeah.
Now you're bragging, Orchi. Oh my goodness, honestly.
Yeah, when the sun runs out in Istanbul, Ricky, just come over. In London, just come over to Istanbul, mate.
I'll always see you, mate.
Definitely.
Right, Ricky, let's start this evening's show with you. Now, we have played 3 pre-season friendlies now. A 1-0 win behind closed doors at Hotspur Way against MK Dons. A 2-0 win in Auckland, New Zealand, with Dane Scarlett and Richarlison scoring. And, of course, this evening, a 1-1 draw against Sydney. And as I mentioned earlier, Spurs won the game 4-2 on penalties. Now, what have you made of pre-season so far? And also, what do you make of this evening's game?
You know what, for me, Chris, you've always got to take a pinch of salt with pre-season. We know that they're getting their minutes in. We know they're getting their fitness up. We know that there's a lot of new players and new integration. new philosophies, new methodologies. There's loads of different things that are happening. So that's what I'm looking at, really. I'm not really looking at like high performance and amazing 90 minutes game of football, but I am looking at the little clues that we can see that what Roberto De Zerbi is working on in training. And you can see that, man. And that's what I've been most pleased with so far. To see triangles, to see overlaps, to see a through ball through the middle of the pitch, amazing. Because up until De Zerbi turned up, end of last season, we didn't see a ball through the middle of the pitch. So to see those things, to see confidence on the ball, to see that the boys that that they are energized, they are re-energized, and they're excited about what's to come with the style of football and with the way in which we approach games, rather than waiting for things to happen and reacting. We are actually being the ones that take the action to the team, and I've seen little bits and pieces like that. It's been good to see Fernandez and Tonali in the first preseason game. Good to see that. Good to see Fernandez strike and his control of the game. We can tell that this is a massive upgrade. And, you know, people might speak about overpayment, but when you see glimpses, and this is just glimpses of the quality that those two have brought in, Fernandez and Tonali, you can see, man, or I can feel that it's going to be a really exciting season as long as we keep them fit and as long as they can build in their partnership, because they complement each other tremendously. It's been really nice to see some of the young ones. I think Archie Gray, you know, in the last pre-season, with a really young side around him being captain, totally stepped up, and you can see his maturity. You could see his experience because he's had a lot of first team games. So you could see that he took on the mantle, and actually it was really impressive. The left back, Kai Ratterman, I can't say his name
Martin.
yet. Thank you. Even though you got pink glasses on, I call him red, but you know what I mean. But all right, but thank you for that, Kate. Him. I thought he's been really good. I thought Hardy and Takai have looked. It's been nice to see them. I haven't seen Hardy before, so he looks really assured and calm on the ball. Takai, the forgotten man, he looks kind of composed, and it looks like he has done well. And I think that another loan for him would be fantastic. It's been really nice. And Luca Williams-Barnett has been the highlight, I think, of preseason so far. Seeing him come on, control games, take the game to the opposition, no fear, ready to try a trick or two, drop the shoulder. And he's a very young man. I think there's so much to come from him as long as we nurture him right. So overall, and today's game as well, you know, today's game was a bitty game, but overall, it's been nice to see the young ones come out and to see what they're bringing to Tottenham. And it's almost like an audition for them right now. And to see where we're going. This is just the beginning, guys. This is just the beginning. I love that Roberto De Zerbi is giving the young ones this opportunity to impress and to put their names in the hat and to put themselves in his thoughts. But yeah, man, it's been just lovely to see the boys out there wearing the shirt, and I'm getting excited about the season now. So overall, I think it's been pretty good. Results-wise, it is what it is. It's pre-season. But to see the patterns of play and to see them embracing De Zerbi's style, you can see that they're building, and they're building from the foundations up. But the glaring miss that we have, and I'm sure we'll all be speaking about it, is we really do need to upgrade those attacking areas. I think Matisse Tell has been the standout so far. He's a man possessed. I think he's got something to prove. I think he's letting everybody know what he's about this year. Still a very young man. People think he's 25, 26. He is not. I think he's just turned 21. Do you know what I mean? So I think that this season is going to be a big season for him. There's going to be a lot of competition, but he's putting his name firmly on the list of potentials to grab a first team start. So yeah, overall, really excited to see the boys back in the shirt. Good to see the young ones. The results have been so-so, but they're building little bit by little bit. Remember, as yourself, Chris, is dealing with jet lag, so are the boys, and so is the management team, and so are the coaches. So you're gonna get dips. You're gonna get periods throughout the game where they don't look like themselves, but that's all part of it.
I said on the last podcast that it is worth noting that the team got on a flight 26 hours. They were in New Zealand for only 42 hours, and then they flew to Australia. And I tell you what, this is the most exhausting trip. This is the most tiring trip I've ever done following Spurs, because you are on a plane or various planes, multiple planes, doing this trip. So it is absolutely exhausting. And of course, I'm not the one, training and playing football matches, and that is exhausting as well. Kate, let's come to you. What have you made of pre-season so far, and what did you make of the performance tonight?
Maybe you should have been training, Chris. You probably could do a better job up front than what we've got in the minute, let's be fair. Look, I think it's been difficult to judge and take too much on pre-season because, there's a lot of players there that we're probably never going to see in the first team, at least for the time being. So, I was a little bit puzzled today, if I'm honest, why Bergwijn was playing, because there seems to be real heavy links with him leaving. And for me, if we can get a 60 million for a Bergwijn, it's a fantastic piece of business. So I was a little bit confused by that, because if he got injured, that could have put a spanner in the works. The same really with Solomon. Is it a case of putting them in the shop window rather than looking at them moving forward? I agree with what Ricky said about Williams-Barnett. I think he's been exceptional as far as the youth goes. I think he's the one that stood out. I think it's also highlighted the fact that although a lot of Tottenham fans really like Mikey Moore, he's one of our own, I personally don't think he's anywhere near good enough. That might go down like a lead balloon, but that's just how I see it. Yet. And a few of them, they're going to need loans. They're certainly not ready yet. I think it's shown Dubravka looks like it was a smart signing. I thought he did well today. The penalty he saved was brilliant. Like Ricky said, the Tonali-Fernandes partnership has got me so excited. Like that worldie that Fernandes scored, and my guy Tell, who I get stick all the time about Tell because I've always liked him. And I think there's a real player there. And I think, like Ricky said, he's really stood up and sort of said, look, you might be wanting to buy Savinho, but let me tell you, this is my position and no one's moving me from this position. And today, I haven't seen a Tottenham player score a direct free kick like that in a long time. And it was an absolute class free kick. So, look, I didn't think the game today was particularly interesting, particularly entertaining, but there's fits and starts. There's bits of play where you go, whoa, I enjoyed that. And there's other bits where it's a bit meh. But it's not our full team and it's not our first team. So you've got to take it for what it is. But it's clear, neither Richarlison. For me, Richarlison has been the outstandingly worst player this preseason. And that's no agenda. I just think he's horrendous. And Solanke apparently was limping today. So I don't know what's going on with either of them. But we need to start moving for forward players, and then I will relax, because the thought of going into this new season with what we got really worries me. I would have took Welbeck over both of those, and he's 35. I would have took him with a walking frame over both of those. Simple as. So sorry to be a bit negative there, but look, like I say, there were standouts, but Hardy as well. But you can't look too much into it, the level of opposition, etc.
I was going to mention that exact thing, Kate, about level of opposition, because, as I mentioned, the 3 games that we've played so far, MK Dons, Auckland and Sydney, no disrespect to any of these teams, but the real test or the first big test is obviously going to be Chelsea at the weekend. So that's going to be an interesting one. But let me also talk about the squad itself, because Roberto De Zerbi, and it's not just Tottenham, this is going to be for a lot of teams in the Premier League, particularly with the World Cup, because a lot of players are not even on these tours for some clubs, including Spurs. And then, of course, there's a batch of players that Roberto De Zerbi hasn't used yet, the likes of Mickey van der Ven, Van Hecker and co. And then, of course, you've got the likes of Robertson, who did play some minutes today against Sydney. So it is a mixture. And as Ricky touched on, all of the younger players, this is a real opportunity. Ricky obviously called it an audition because of his background, but it is an audition, isn't it? It's a real opportunity for them to be in front of Roberto De Zerbi. And I tell you what, something that I mentioned on the last podcast, something I've been so impressed with, he has been spending so much time with every single player. And I absolutely love this. And I've never seen such an intense manager. Look, he just does not take his eye off the ball at all. Any training session, any match, his eyes are just focused on the ball all the time. And he is constantly telling his players information and what he expects. And I absolutely love what he is doing at Spurs right now. And I think we all agree, if we get the right players in, and this can be a 10 out of 10 transfer window, I tell you what, the future can be and will be very, very exciting.
Chris, sorry, have you been at the training sessions? Because from what we've been seeing, De Zerbi's bang involved with the training as well. He gets real involved and joins in, and it's completely opposite to Frank.
I tell you what, and I actually tweeted this, I don't know whether you saw it last week. Managers, head coaches, they have their staff and they normally delegate their jobs, particularly on the training sessions. And Roberto De Zerbi is there. He is doing absolutely everything. He has got the whistle. He has got the ball. He is stopping play all the time. He is telling players what he expects. And this is what makes me so excited about him, because he is so hands-on. And I use that word again. He is so intense with everything. And it is absolutely brilliant to see.
Yeah, I agree.
It's sorry, shall I? What I was going to say was, in any job, in any business, it's those small details that make a huge difference. That's the difference between very good and excellent. And I think that's clearly what, De Zerbi is about. It's about excellence. It's about getting the best out of, every single player. And obviously he has his own identity and way of playing. And I think definitely you can, as you said, as all of you have said, the difference being is that he wants to get across exactly his type of, his brand of football to those players. And just as you guys touched on, I think because of the way the World Cup has worked out, and also, together with the players that we've got injured at the moment, I mean, there's 11 first-team players that didn't go on this trip. So, and where De Zerbi came right at the end of the season with 7-8 games to go, and he came to basically save the club from relegation. So he wouldn't have had a chance to look at any of these, academy or young players. So, with the World Cup and everything, this is his perfect chance to see what, from those group of players, what players are there that he can potentially rely on, not necessarily to come into the team and make an immediate impact. But I think he's probably looking at some of these players, certainly with a view to developing them through the next couple of seasons, maybe next season, this upcoming season, and, the seasons beyond that. And also seeing what players are not going to be good enough for the type of, game, for the type of football that he likes to play. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I'm hugely excited by, De Zerbi getting his ideas to the team and literally spending as much time as necessary to really understand what he's expecting from those players. And that's what you need. You need the manager to tell you exactly what he wants you to do, and then, go out there and do it, basically. And those, players who are good enough, who understand that, will respond to that and go out there and hopefully, give their best performances week in, week out.
But you know what's fantastic about Roberto De Zerbi is, for the first time in a long time, we've actually got a direction, right? We've actually got a direction. We've got a point of call. We've got a goal to reach. We've got an island to capture. Do you know what I mean? We're doing all of these things, and for the first time ever, the whole club is aligned. Now, this is what I've got to give credit to the club for, because for the first time ever, everything that I've asked from them this summer, they are providing. Not only did the board start with apologies, but they also recognized some of the weaknesses from last year, And then they've gone with their hands out of their pocket and the money, you know what I mean, fully visible to go and identify players that are not from the second choice and the third choice bucket, which we normally do, right? We normally take ourselves out of the race for the elite, for the number one targets. But from the beginning, Van Hecker, we've gone to spend that money on Van Hecker, who, you know, De Zerbi calls his son, right? Somebody who can implement his system and knows it inside backwards, and who is excited about developing even more so under him. Brought in a disciple of his philosophy and of his methodology in Van Hecker. Foundation, do you know what I mean? Then you go and bring in Fernandes and Tonali, which totally upgrades the midfield. And people, the only reason people are talking about overspending is because it's Tottenham that's overspending. Anybody else, it's fine. Has anybody mentioned Chelsea and Rodgers yet? Nobody. It's all fine. It's all absolutely fine, right? But the moment that we start spending money on elite and first choice targets that were first choice targets of big clubs, suddenly it's a problem. But we've seen that massive upgrade, right? We've seen that massive upgrade. And
do people have a problem with it, or are you just referring to Gabby Bonhoff?
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Gobby at Bonhoff is he can say what he wants to say, and I really don't care. You know, a lot of the media outlets, as you'll see, every time something happens good or positive for Tottenham, there'll always be somebody to come in and put that ugly, nasty, negative kind of narrative out there. He's just one of them. He just wants Tottenham fans to interact with him and give him some more numbers and give him a few more views. Don't do it, man. This is the summertime. We know what it is. Don't do it. Leave him to it. I don't even want to mention him. But just generally, people are surprised and taken aback that we are actually gone out and got first team targets that the Gooners, Man City, Man United, you know, these big ass clubs were looking at. And we've gone in there and slapped the money down and we've made it happen. And when you do that, when you buy in first class elite players that aligns with the manager and the system and philosophy that he wants to play, we're going to see a massive upgrade. This needs to continue. This can't stop now. As we've always said, you can't stop halfway through. But this needs to continue. And I think that is really important. I think that is fantastic to see that for the first time in a long time, the club, the board, the manager, the coaches, and the players, we're all aligned right now. And that's what we're seeing. And that needs to continue. That can't just be a one summer job. That needs to continue. This needs to be the change, and this needs to be our new normal on how we attack the squad, how we're going to play in the Premier League, and how we attack the transfer market. You know, we've seen it so far, and thank goodness that Roberto De Zerbi is in there making it happen, because we're seeing a world of difference. I'm happy that he's got the keys to the castle right now. I'm happy that we're following him. I'm happy that everything is aligned, because whoever we bring in will be the right one for De Zerbi and his system and for the benefit of Tottenham going forward. So let him do what he's doing. Let him cook. Let him build little bit by little bit, because last year, those 5 games, 7 games, whatever it was at the end of last year, that was nothing. That was survival. Now we begin what, you know, the De Zerbi ball, the way that we're going to play, and all of the nuances that he wants within his side. And we're going big as well. We're not going small fry. We're not getting potential. We're going big. And I love what he said about those that don't want to be there. If you don't want to be here, see you later, bye. I don't care what your name is. I don't care how old you are. If you're not about it, then see you later, bye. And this is also what troubles me a little bit with someone like Bergvall. I say troubles me from what the reports are. I would love him to have a Dele Alli or a Kane-esque mentality when it comes to, or even an Archie Gray mentality when it comes down to working hard, fighting for your place. Because what does Bergvall think? If it goes to Nottingham Forest, does he think that he's not going to have any competition? Does he think he's not going to have any competition or be benched at Newcastle? Does he think that he doesn't have to prove his worth? Do you know what I mean? Wherever he goes and have either competition at the same level as him or above him. So come into Tottenham, come into this pre-season, and that's why I think he's been taken on the tour as well. And he hasn't been spoken to by De Zerbi, because it's like, look what we're doing. Look at what we're doing. Do you want to be a part of it? Do you want to show me like Dele Alli did when Bentaleb and Mason were first choice and Dele was supposed to be in the under-21? Dele came in and he knocked the doors down. He showed everybody that he should be first choice. And little bit by little bit, he got there. Kane had to go up against 30 million soldado, which was the most that we spent on a striker at that point, plus Adebayor, who we was paying stupid wages for, and the club, Levy mostly, were putting the pressure on manager to play them to so that we don't lose their value. And Harry Kane came in, smashed it, became undeniable, you know, and this is what I want some of those young ones to do. You know, especially like Bergvall. Bergvall's played. He's had experience in this side right now. Come in against Tonali, against Fernandes, and go, let me show you what I'm about. Let me show you what you're missing out on, sort of thing. Let me show you where we can go and fight for it. That's what I want from Bergie. That's what I want from Archie. That's what I want from all of these young ones. Show us what you got, man, because you've got the opportunity.
Ricky,
Sorry.
One second, Archie. 1 second. On Lucas Bergvall, De Zerbi, after tonight's game, has said the situation is clear. He wants space and to play in a double pivot. But I cannot give him that guarantee, or to any player, that he can play. He was right that he wants to play as a central midfielder. I would like that he stays, but if he doesn't want to, then there is nothing I can do. He will then have to speak to Vinay Venkatesham or Johan Langer. He has he's got to have the right spirit to stay. Now, Ricky, very quickly, would you be disappointed to see Lucas Bergvall leave? Because it's all well and good, all of us Spurs fans, whenever there's players coming through the door, particularly when you're spending a lot of money and showing real ambition, and exactly what all of us wanted, you know, and have wanted for a long time. But it's all well and good when all those players are coming in the door. But when you're hearing rumours about certain players going out the door, that's when some people start thinking, oh, actually, I don't want them leaving.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want Will Lancashire to leave. We were speaking about strikers there earlier, and Kate was saying that, you know, Welbeck up front would be better than what we've got so far. I think Will Lancashire would have been better than what we got so far. I didn't want him to leave. I saw a really good player in there. But you know what? Right now, and this is the thing with Bergvall, it's like right now you have to understand where you're at and what your competition is. And instead of crying about your position, you've got to go and fight for it. Nobody can guarantee you a spot. Nobody can guarantee you a spot. And if they've guaranteed it to you, the moment that you become complacent in that spot, you will be removed. Somebody else will take your spot. So right now, I want Bergie and Gray to show themselves as the natural replacements for Tonali and Fernandes. Be the natural ones that come in for those two players right there. But you've got to step up and you've got to prove it to yourself. Now, if Bergvall wants to go and he feels that somewhere else is a better environment for him, or there's a different project out there, I mean, good luck to you, my friend. Good luck to you. And if we sell him, then maybe we bring in someone like an Alex Scott and then we crack on. Do you know what I mean? Good luck to you, bro. But I want Bergvall to stay. But after... And the thing is that, of course, he's young. This year is the year I feel that him and Archie Gray really make a name for themselves, right? This is what I feel within the league. They've been here for 2 seasons. They figured it out. They've had a lot of trouble last season. Now this is their season with a manager and a philosophy and a direction to really kind of jump up and to show us what they're about. And I think that if both of them was to stick around, I think that we would see that little bit by little bit. But you look at someone like Foden. Foden came in and was phenomenal at Man City, but he didn't play every week. Pep dropped him many a time to see what his attitude was like, to see what his reaction was like, to see how he fought to get back into the team. Because Foden has got massive, world-class, superstar competition around him. And look how it's affected him and look how it's pushed him as well. And it's the same with any young one right now. You're going to be going up against big stars, but it's up to you. And I would love Bergvall as somebody who's been here for 2 seasons. And I feel that someone who's going to go into the seasons and do really well, I would love him to stay. But after the last 2 seasons, especially league form, and I can't put it down to Bergvall and Gray because they were the standouts. But after the last 2 seasons, for me, nobody's untouchable. there is not a player that is really untouchable. I would have said Gray and Bergvall because of their ages, but nobody's untouchable because of what we've seen and some of the performances out there. Massive upgrades need to be had, and we're doing it. So if you want to be part of it and you want to step up, fantastic. I would love that. But it's not like, Bergvall or anybody else really has done anything where I'm going to cry at them leaving. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
step up or good luck and we'll go again. Sometimes, Chris, you've asked for this many a season, many a pre-season, many a transfer window. Sometimes we have to be ruthless. Sometimes we've got to take away that emotion. And if you look at the Will Lancashire transfer, we've got 20 million for a player that, didn't really, I mean, he played a couple of games for us, but didn't really make a mark in the first team. And we've got a buyback and a percentage on a sell-on fee and all. It's potentially a good deal. It's a really good deal for a young one. And
same as Vuskovic, right? Never kicked a ball in the Premier League.
Same as Vuskovic. I would have loved him to stay. I would have loved him to be the fourth centre back and kind of push for his start. But again, he got and it's good. It's good. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but almost got a little bit too big for your boots and demanded your start. Now, I think that someone like Vuskovic has earned it. But at the same time, you've got to earn your spot, So listen, if you want to go, go. But we have to be a little bit, and me as well, because I am emotional about my players in my club, but we have to be a little bit more ruthless and kind of go, well, none of you have grabbed that shirt. None of you have made it yours yet. So we go again. Auditions are open and every spot is up for grabs. What you got? Do you want to audition? No, you don't, because there's too much competition. All right, cool. Well, that tells me everything about you and where you want to be. You want to be comfortable. So good luck, crack on, and we will crack on too. It's time to be ruthless, bro. It's time to be ruthless.
Yeah, I agree. Audrey, let's come back to you because let's get your thoughts on this evening's game, the 1-1 draw.
As we were kind of touching on it, the players that were, majority of the starters are younger academy players. I mean, again, as not to repeat it, but yeah, it's a perfect opportunity for all of them to really, show De Zerbi what they can do. This is their chance. This is their opportunity to show what they can do. I mean, it's a game, again, I know it was only Sydney FC, but considering, pretty much majority, about 2/3 of that team were the academy young players, I thought we played really well. We were dominant. We were on top. It's actually a game that shouldn't have gone to penalties. We were so dominant. We had so many chances. We should have closed that match sort of 5-6-1. If that match ended 5-6-1, it wouldn't have flattered us. We were that dominant, both in the first half and in the second half. What I would say is, because we were just talking about him. So, for example, Bergvall actually, I thought, had a really good game this game. I would say, he was running around. He was trying really hard. He got the ball, recovered the ball several times. And, he, in the reports, we don't know how true it is, but he's mentioned that he wants to be a box-to-box midfielder, and he was certainly showing or trying to do that today in today's game. I thought he was slightly better than Archie Gray. Archie kind of had some good passes, but at times he also lost the ball. He sort of did it on the ball a little bit, but overall, I thought, on both the first half and the second half, we were dominant. We were really good, and you can see all the players were trying really hard. Obviously, even though Richarlison probably the only one that is just a complete waste of space. I'm sure he's a nice guy and everything, but but the young players, definitely, they were all trying really, really hard. I like Malaki Hardy. I mentioned him in the MK Dons game. Obviously, Williams Barnett again shone today, I thought, when he came on. So there were a number of good standout performances today, with the exception of our attack, unfortunately. But obviously, Mattis Tell, we mentioned it. I thought he had a fantastic game today for what he played for. He was tricky. He was running at defenders. And obviously, what a fantastic goal he scored. I mean, I would love to see him do that. I mean, I can't remember the last time we scored regularly from free kicks. So we need players to do that. We need players to step up and score from free kicks, from set pieces. So that's exactly what we need. But I think one of the other guys mentioned it as a joke. Obviously, we've been heavily linked with Savinho for that left wing position. But it's almost like Tell saying, look, Savinho who? We don't need a Savinho. I'm here. This is my position kind of thing. Although I think either his agent or somebody was saying that his ideal position is actually as a striker in attack. But he does a really good job on the left wing as well. Whenever we've asked him to play left wing or right wing, I mean, even towards the end of last season, there were several crosses that he put in that ended up being goals that were, part of the games where we picked up points where we avoided relegation. So, he's coming on. And I think under a manager like De Zerbi, I can really see him flourish in this upcoming season. But, yeah, so it was definitely a very, very, we were on top in this match. We were, we just didn't put away our chances, unfortunately. A number of players were guilty of missing some good chances. I thought, again, Conor Gallagher tried really hard today. He did kind of well. He had a bit of a mixed game, but it was like his final touch kind of let him down. A bit like kind of Williams Barnett as well. He was doing some brilliant runs. He got into some fantastic positions, but that just final shot or the final ball kind of let him down a little bit today. But again, these are all things that could be worked on and ironed out before the start of the season. So, I put that down to, what they call match fitness. So as we do more and more, as we play more and more, I think these are the things that will, come on and develop further as the preseason prep continues. But definitely, I mean, also considering the fact that we haven't seen Van Heck yet, we haven't seen Van der Ven, we haven't seen a number of the first team players. This is, again, it just gives us hope for next season. And I'm just loving what De Zerbi is doing, and kind of what Ricky said. I also love the fact that he's using this time to kind of create an identity again, because I think that's one thing that we certainly lost in recent years. I think the last time you could say that Tottenham as a team had an identity, a togetherness, was kind of, in the Pochettino years. And after Pochettino left, I feel that we completely lost that, certainly with, all the managers that came in. And I think it's probably because we had so many turnaround of managers in recent years. But what I'm loving that De Zerbi is doing is he's saying, right, he is proud to be the Tottenham manager. And he sees a club which is, as I've been saying for many seasons, everything is in place. We've got a world-class stadium. Obviously, I was there last month. I was so proud. It was my first visit to the new stadium. I was so proud of that stadium and what should be happening in that stadium. Like, we have one of the best stadiums in world football right now. We have the training facilities. We have everything in place for Tottenham to be a giant. But, because of the club's, the hierarchy's attitude until now, it hasn't happened. But thank goodness, in a way, yes, last season was so hard, so difficult to go through. But in a way, I think it's come as a bit of a blessing in disguise, because had we not been in that position, Roberto De Zerbi wouldn't have had the kind of like the bargaining power to say, look, I'll come in, but you got to, like Ricky said, you got to give me the keys to the castle. You got to let me set this place up so that this, and I mean, he said in his interviews as well, Tottenham is a club that should be at the top of the league. We should be a top club with what we have in place. So I think he himself, he's proud to be here. He's proud to be Spurs manager. And his only aim is to win, basically go out there and be competitive in every single competition that we're in. And he wants to win silverware. He wants to win trophies with Tottenham. I think he wants to become a Tottenham legend. And that's why he's creating this identity. And he only wants players who's going to come in and who's going to give their all, be proud to wear that badge, and put everything, give their all to help that happen. He wants, he's the general, and he wants soldiers that he can rely on week in, week out, who are going to consistently perform. And he's creating that identity. He's creating that togetherness. And that's something that's really exciting me for the upcoming season. And with the fact that we don't have European football, I think we have a really amazing opportunity this upcoming season. The transfer business we've done so far is brilliant. So if we can get another 2 or 3 top first choice players, top quality players, left wing, attack. Look, I don't want to say we're going to win the league, obviously, but there's no reason why Tottenham cannot immediately go and get in the top 4, get into those Champions League places, and potentially win one of the domestic cups. Why couldn't we go and win an FA Cup? Why couldn't we go and win Carabao Cup with the team that De Zerbi is putting together this season? And no, only one game a week until after Christmas. Carabao Cup just.
Yeah, I like to be positive,
but you know what I mean.
I also like to be realistic. So let's take one game at a time.
Exactly.
Kate, let's come to you because Ricky and I are 2 of the people that are on here probably the most alongside Craig. And I tell you what, last season, even the season before, I know we won the Europa League, but last season was extremely tough. And I know, Kate, you've been coming on this channel now for the last year or 2, and it's been difficult. It has been really, really difficult. Is this Tottenham's time? And how excited are you by Roberto De Zerbi in the future?
Look, first of all, Ricky, I've got to tell you, Jimbo has said that it's good to see top bins on the panel. He's still convinced you'd be a great striker for us, Ricky. I'm just going to put that out there. But Jimbo is.
I'm just saying but he's a man of knowledge. He knows his football. He's watched Tottenham for a long time. When he recognises a player, what can you say? And and also, Kel got a top bins and Fernandez got a top bins. I'm just saying, me being in training helps. I'm just saying.
I've told you all, it was AI. It was AI, okay? I've told you all multiple times.
Look, Jimbo is of the opinion we can fight for the league. I'm certainly not there. And he asked me yesterday on our show, why? And I said, well, first of all, our keeper's not good enough. As much as I like Kinski, you need a top keeper to win the league. And that's just one reason of many. And I think I'm one of these people, if fans think we can win the league, I say let them think it, let them enjoy it. Everyone supports the club the way they want. I'm trying to keep my expectations at a level where I think is reasonable, because I don't want there to be pressure on the team, on De Zerbi. And I think, obviously, 2 17th place finishes. If we get into a top 7 finish, which is where I'm going, if we can get a good strike force, I'm going for a top 7 finish and back in Europe, and I'll be over the moon with that. I don't think that's what De Zerbi wants. I think De Zerbi wants to get straight back in the Champions League and probably fight for the title, because that's De Zerbi. But I'm just trying to keep my expectations in check. I think, look, everybody moans about Daniel Levy. Everybody moaned about Enoch. They've done exactly what we've been absolutely crying out for, and they've put their money where their mouth is. They had a very close disaster. We were literally on the brink of relegation. I did the watch along on the last game of the season, and I was so nervous. It's the only way I could do it. I said to Jim, I've got to do a watch along, so I'm focused on something else, because I was in such a state. But we was really on the brink, and I think they've learned that they cannot ever allow that to happen again. So what I'm obviously delighted with the business we've done so far, but what we need to see is consistency. We can't have this as a one-off window. It's got to be, Man City do it, no matter how good they are, they still always had a bit of quality every year.
Yeah.
And now we're building the foundations, we've got our midfield now is fantastic. Our defence for me is brilliant. We bought Senesi and Van Heck are the 2 best ball playing defenders in the league last year. So it's just about moving forward. And although I'm nervous, I still think it will get done. And I think we will bring in that quality. And for me, if we carry on doing this, there's no reason why De Zerbi would want to go. He looks happy. You saw that moment when De Zerbi fell in love with Spurs. People play it all the time on that last game of the season when everyone was singing, and his face, he looked shocked at the love and the passion coming from the Spurs fans. And I really, truly believe he wants to start a project here and see it through. So, for me, I haven't been this excited about Spurs since the Poch era, and that's big for me because the Poch era was my favourite time supporting Spurs. I really, truly believe we could beat anyone. So just getting those final couple of pieces, I think we need another winger. I think we need at least a real top striker. And I personally think Bergvall and Sarr will both go, and I think we'll go and get an attacking midfielder as well. And part of me is still hoping and praying it's Morgan Gibbs-White. I think we're really on the right track. And like I say, he's laying some really strong foundations there so that if he gets back to year in, year out, there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be right back up the table in a couple of years. But I'm just tempering my expectations for this season. 17th twice, get back in Europe this year, and I will be ecstatic.
Right, let's get on to the match instance from today's game. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Sydney FC 1. Spurs, of course, won the game 4-2 on penalties. After just 2 minutes, I'll stay with you here, Kate. After just 2 minutes, Matisse Tell cross from the left-hand side, and it was eventually cleared. I mentioned this on the last podcast, that the fact that what I've seen and really noticed in these few games so far is the amount of crosses that we are putting in, and also the amount of long shots that Spurs are having. And it is completely different under the likes of Thomas Frank and Igor Tudor. Of course, Thomas Frank didn't like the team taking long shots, but De Zerbi, it appears now everyone wants to have a shot and everyone's putting crosses into the box, which is delightful.
It's brilliant, and this is why we need a top striker, because I think, if we're left with one or the other, it's probably going to be Solanke that we're kept with, and I think he will have a better season purely because he'll get better service. But we also need someone that can be on the end of these crosses. I don't mean to jump ahead because I know you're going through the match, but you saw a couple of crosses that Robertson put in the second half that were beautiful crosses, but no one on the end with quality to finish it off. So it literally is just the last couple of jigsaw pieces. And I think we have got a really good squad there. But Tell, again, absolute, for me, he was the player of the match for me today. Even though he came off in the second half, I still think he was the best player on the field. And it is like he's trying to prove a point.
Archie, the point that Ricky made earlier about the competition, and Roberto De Zerbi has come out and said that he wants 2 players in each position. So if Savinho did come in at Tottenham in their summer transfer window, is Matisse Tell the type of guy that wants to battle it out with someone like Savinho, who will probably sign for Tottenham if he does, for a large amount of money? So where do you see that? How do you see that panning out between those two if that was the case?
To be honest, I think a player like Savinho, who's left-sided, sometimes he's played on the right side as well, but mainly he's a left-sided player. I don't think that necessarily puts Tell's position under threat in the team, because Tell is also someone who's versatile. And as I mentioned earlier, I think it was either his agent or somebody at his previous club said that his actual best position is as striker. So being such a versatile player, and obviously Kudus, we don't know if he's going to be quite ready for the start of the season. So, he's a player that can play across that front three. So I don't think that necessarily puts his position under threat. And I think depending on how things are, how the relationship is between him and De Zerbi, I think, I don't think he's a player who would kind of kick up a fuss. Like, for example, Bergvall has come out and kind of done so this summer, reportedly. I think there's definitely a position, there's a space to have both of those players in the team. Because I've always rated Tell, because, he's still very young. I think he's just turned 21. So I think so much to come from him still. And, I can see him really developing and flourishing under a manager like De Zerbi, who likes to play that attacking football, who likes to educate the players on what positions they should be in when the plays in certain stages and overlapping and, through balls. And like Ricky mentioned earlier in this video. So, these players, it's a win-win for them, really. They are with a top manager. And plus, like, again, just mentioning Bergvall, If I was him, I would think you've got these two top players that have come in Tonali and Fernandez, and you think, it's also what you can learn from other players as well. The club are bringing in all this proven quality, and as a young player, I would think to myself, I'm going to learn so much. All I would be worried about is actually applying myself and just being there, fully committed, fully, paying attention to what is going around and to be the best that I can be. And it's impossible not to improve as a player when you've got such a good pool of players, and depending on obviously who else is going to come in, because we know we're not done in the transfer window. So I can see Tell being a kind of player who would actually apply himself, who would actually say, you know what, okay, I'll stick around, I'll learn from you, Gaffer, and I'll also learn from the quality that's come in, because the passes to him, the outlet to him is also going to be better than what it has been this past season, because I think he's also a player that suffered from poor passes, lack of through balls, lack of that kind of intentional attacking play that we haven't seen, at least for the last couple of seasons. So I think there's definitely space for both of those players in the team, and any attacker that we're going to sign. I think, as Kate said, I think as long as he stays fit, I can also see more output from even Solanke this season. I think we will see a better Solanke with the service that he's going to get, with the better balls, the better passes that he's more than likely to get with this team that De Zerbi is building this summer. I can see, but obviously, Richarlison's got to go, and we've got to go out there and really buy another top, it doesn't necessarily have to be a super, but it's got to be someone who's good at finishing. Again, I agree with Kate. I mean, why didn't we go for Welbeck? I think Welbeck could have been he's a good finisher, and with the better service that he's going to get, I think, but again, to go specifically to a question, I think, there's definitely space for Tell in this team, especially, what we've seen of him in this preseason, where he's clearly trying really, really hard. He's really putting in the work there, and I've been very impressed with him. I think he's been one of the best players from the, if you like, the first or the main first team in this preseason. And he's really putting in the work. And I'm sure De Zerbi's been impressed with him as well. And as I said, because he's such a versatile player, I think he's got to be part of this team, part of this squad, come the next season.
You know what? On Tell, the one thing that you forget about Tell is that Tell is a fighter, right? He's born fighter. Everywhere that he's been, he's had to fight for his place. He's had to fight to prove that he's worthy of a spot within the side. PSG, Bayern Munich, everywhere that he's been, he's had to be a fighter. When he came into Tottenham, it was in that decimation January where we needed so much, and the board did not put their hand in their pocket whatsoever. If you remember, Tell rejected us first, and in the weekend before the deadline, he signed for us. And when he came in, we had to throw him in the deep end after not having games at Bayern, very games at Bayern. After having not that much game time, we threw him in, and we expected, a savior. And he fought. And some of the performances in his first half season wasn't great, but a lot of them he was fighting and he was trying. Then it comes under Thomas Fraud, and a guy that doesn't like to play forward, doesn't like to play football, doesn't do anything apart from take a long throw in and a set piece. And, Tell was if you remember, Tell was the one that actually scored the first open play goal within, I think it was like 10 hours or 11 hours or something like that. And it was an outside the box shot in which he scored. And in the next game, he was dropped. And he fought again. He fought every single time that he was called upon or doubted. He fought again. Every time he was given an opportunity, he fought. He was the brightest spark under Thomas Fraud. And then as soon as De Zerbi's come in, he was another one to be relied on if need be. Right now, like you said there, Uji, we've got a manager with a philosophy, an attacking philosophy. He likes players to play forward. He likes them to express themselves within a structure. And Tell, at the age that he is, and the fight that he's showing in pre-season, again, he is showing everybody who he is and what he's about, and he is not to be underestimated or doubted. He is coming for his first team spot. Vino or anybody else was to come in for that left wing spot, he's going to fight for it. He's just not going to let them have it. He's going to fight for it. And that's great for the squad. That's great for him. And that's great for anyone else coming in. Doesn't matter how much we're paying for him. It's great for every single person, because you got to be on your toes and you got to be at your best, and you got to fight and you got to earn the right to be in that side. That's amazing. Rather than just hoping and praying and putting them in because we've got 13, 14, 15 players that are injured and just being, please give us something. Now everybody's fighting for their minutes, fighting for their place, and fighting to be in that manager's plans, because we are going somewhere really exciting. And to have a fighter like Tel in there at the age that he is, he's the example right now of the young ones. The young ones on this audition trip, he is showing everybody the level that you have to be at. I felt that Archie Gray has done that as well. And I think there's a lot more from a lot of them to show Matisse Tel as a young one that had a lot of hype, a lot of media attention for a long time. He has come in and showed you how to fight and earn your spot. And I think that's great for Tottenham, but I think that's also great for the squad and anybody else coming in.
Yeah, let me come back to you again, Ricky. But let me just say, we are live on YouTube, Facebook and X, and we do love to hear from all of our viewers and listeners, but please do be respectful with all of the comments. That's all I'll say. Ricky, after 5
minutes... What are they saying about me, Chris? What are they saying about me?
Don't worry about it.
I'm just joking.
Well, to all the comments saying...
Talking too long.
Yeah, no, don't worry. Right, after 5 minutes, back past the Sydney goalkeeper. He panicked, straight to Tel, who shot. Comfortable save for the goalkeeper in the end. 7 minutes after that, Tel crossing in, free kick, straight to the goalkeeper. After 13 minutes, ball into Gallagher, shot blocked. Also in the same minute, Gallagher with another chance through to the goalkeeper. After 23 minutes, good work from Matisse Tel to Gallagher, back to Tel, who crossed it, overhit it. After 24 minutes, Sydney, ball taken from Gray, shot from 20 yards, good save from Dubravka. After 26 minutes, Ben Davis couldn't quite get there after a cross-in. And then, Ricky, talk to me about Matisse Tel's goal, because after 29 minutes, Matisse Tel, he grabbed the ball. He wanted to take this free kick. And like Algie said, we haven't scored many free kicks in recent years. And what a hit it was.
It was a beautiful hit. And you know what? It kind of... This is why pre-season and sometimes not all of the squad being there can be beneficial, because I'm sure Pedro would have taken it, or maybe Matt would have taken it. But, you know, Tel's there. He took the ball, took the responsibility. And look at... You know what? When I first saw it, I thought he hit it flat with power. I thought he hit it so flat because it went straight into the top corner. It was only when I saw the side profile that I saw that there was a curve and a bit of a dip in there. But, you know, like working with Matisse in training, I've been telling him, you know, make sure you go for the crossbar and then it will dip right at the end there. You know, if you're going to get top bins, you've got to be, you'll be really on your game. And Matisse has been like that. You know, we've been working on some one-to-one training and he's doing fantastic.
Oh dear.
But for him to...
Hold on.
Hold on.
I hate to say it, but I think yours was actually more in the top corner than this.
I mean, listen, perfection can't be imitated. You know what I mean? You can only try your best. And that's what Matisse was doing. And, I thought it was a beautiful goal, honestly. I thought it was a beautiful goal. And I think that puts him in the shop window of taking free kicks. We know what a good delivery he's got on corners. And we know what a good delivery he's got when he gets time and space on that left-hand side to put a ball in. But the way that he struck the ball, the way that it moved, the power, the dip, confused the goalkeeper left, right, and center. But absolutely beautiful goal. And again, the fact that he wanted to fight for it, take responsibility for it, and show the manager what he can do from a set play. I think that's a really, really, really beneficial and fantastic goal that he's done in pre-season. I think it says a lot about him. And I think for Tottenham fans, I think Matisse is someone to be excited about going into this season.
Okay, after 34 minutes, Conor Gallagher over the bar, a good opportunity for him. And then a couple of minutes later, he did hit the post from outside the box. Now, when we put up the starting 11 here, Dubravka, Gallagher, Richarlison, Tell, Gray as captain yet again, Bergvall, Solomon, Davis, Kearmatten, Hardy and Ty Hall. Now, when you look at the players like Archie Gray, who has captained the side now for 2 of the pre-season friendlies, one in New Zealand and one today in Australia. And, you know, we've already touched on Lucas Bergvall. He might be going out the door. Conor Gallagher. Now, where do a lot of these players fit in when we do have a fully fit squad in the Premier League?
I mean, I was a little bit shocked when Archie said he thought Gallagher had a good game, because I thought he was so wasteful today. He could have scored 4 or 5 goals. I mean, he had one where it was an open goal and he just missed it. I'm not Gallagher's biggest fan. I've got to be honest. I know De Zerbi rates him highly because he said that when he plays well, it's like having 2 men on the pitch, but I'm not sure. Out of those, the only ones that I see probably in a starting lineup are possibly Gallagher. No, probably not even Gallagher. Tell maybe. I don't see anyone else in a starting lineup for Spurs this season. Or our strongest lineup, should we say, our strongest lineup. Ty Hall, I've got to be honest, I didn't even know who that was. I thought Ty Hall was Tyrese Hall. I didn't realise we had 2 Halls. These are kids with potential. There's no doubt about it, but they're just not ready yet, in my opinion. I think they need loans. As I say, I think Bergvall will go. Solomon, I think Leeds are sniffing around Solomon again, but he only wants to go on a permanent. Archie Gray, look, I like Archie Gray. I think he needs to perfect one position, but he's not going to be a starter with the players we've brought in and are bringing in. I think 99% of those players are not going to be starters on a first team fully fit squad. I mean, I don't know if you agree, but even Gallagher, you know, I'm not sure with the likes of Tonali and Fernandes and a fit Maddison, I'm not sure where Gallagher fits in, you know, and we want strength in depth. You know, people always go, well, where's he going to play? Where's he going to play? You know, Arsenal have got 2 great players in every position, and that's what top teams do. So we need that. But looking at that starting 11 there, I don't really see the starters from there, if I'm honest.
I think it's going to be very interesting. Go on,
I just want to. I know you said about Gallagher, Kate. What I meant was, like you said, he missed a lot of chances. So from that perspective, he had a poor game, but he linked up with the other players really well. So what I meant was he got into good positions where he had a chance to score, but he missed it. So his shooting boots weren't on today. But in terms of his positioning and his kind of interchange, I think he was doing well today. Actually, he was getting into some good positions, but he just kept wasting them. So that was my frustration with him as well. But just from a perspective of, you know, you got to get into those positions. So I'm just saying, with the overall De Zerbi ball that he's trying to create, even though, you know, 2/3 of that team were the young academy players, we were doing a lot of good things today. That was what's impressive. And, you know, with that mixture of, if you like, first team players and the academy players, they all seem to be on the same page. And again, that was really brilliant to see.
I know a lot of the chat is saying about Solomon, and I'm not disrespecting him because he did have a good game, but his agents come out and said he wants guaranteed first team football, and he isn't going to get that at Spurs. There's just no way he's going to get that at Tottenham. So he's another one who will probably leave. And good luck to him. You know, I think he's done well this pre-season, but I don't see him staying at Spurs.
I mentioned him against Auckland as well. I think he had a good, like he's had a good pre-season so far, but I think it's because he's trying to get a move. He's trying to get a, you know, transfer. There is a good player in there. I do rate him, but not maybe quite what we need on that right wing. Kudus is a better player, in my honest opinion.
You know, on Solomon. Oh, sorry, Chris.
Go on.
I was just going to say, you know, you know, on Solomon, all of those things that were coming out about from his agent and stuff like that. I heard, I think it was either this morning or last night, that it's all fabricated. Yeah, it's all fake news. All of those things that were coming out about his agent saying all of the things that you were saying there, Kate, and more. It was all fabricated. And right now, you know, Solomon, I think has not really been given a chance at Tottenham. I think that he's had three starts and he's done pretty well. I don't think he's the future of Tottenham, but I think De Zerbi is giving him a fair crack as well as everybody else in that side. And we have seen some good movement from him. But you know what, Solomon, his whole journey at Tottenham, you know, the free transfer and then messing with the club wanted conversation. We wasn't going to give it to him. It was all very, very messy. And then he's gone out on loan. He didn't really get a spot. And he's been almost like a hanger-on for the last couple of seasons with no real space or opportunity to claim a shirt or to claim a start even. You know, so I would love it for him, for a club to come in and for him to go and like find his way, because he's been thrown pillar to post for the last 3-4 seasons. And, you know, I don't know where he's going, what he's doing. And I think that he feels the same. And he needs a place where he can settle and show he's best, because he's not had that. He's not had consistency, really. So, well,
he knows Leeds, doesn't he? And Leeds fans loved him when he was there. So it'd be a great move for him if he does end up there.
Yeah, it would be.
Archie, let's come back to you. After 36 minutes, Sydney had a chance, long-range effort over the bar. A couple of minutes later, Kiamatam for Spurs shot a goal after a good team move. On 40 minutes, Sydney with a good effort again from the halfway line, just over the bar. On 41 minutes, Matisse Tell, good feet, wide of the right post. On 42 minutes, Sydney player McAllister over Dubravka, just wide, good effort from them. Half time, it was 1-0 Spurs. And then, of course, we saw Sandro Tonali warming up. He then came on. Kota Takai came on. Williams Barnett come on. Bergvall, Davis and Tell all went off. Great to see our £100 million man, Sandro Tonali, get another 45 minutes in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt. Of course, he got 45 minutes against MK Dons, but missed the Auckland game. What did you make of him today?
I think I think with him also, he joined the team. He was one of the he was the last transfer that we had. I think it's about getting his fitness up. I think he had some good touches. He made some couple of good passes. A couple of times he recovered the ball when we lost the ball. Overall, I thought he had a solid game. He was, I was seeing, obviously he's number 16. So I was seeing him. He was supporting the other players. I mean, you can just see that he's, as he went more and more into the game, as he kind of warmed up, you saw him more and more. But I think with him, it's at the moment, it's getting his fitness up to, the minimum levels. But yeah, overall, I didn't see much wrong from him. Obviously, a half, 45 minutes is quite difficult. And also, as the second half went on, more and more changes were made. So, when you're it's chop and changing, so it's difficult to kind of see. But overall, didn't really see anything wrong from him. Didn't see him. I think he had one shot from just outside the area. He tried a shot which just went over the bar. But yeah, I mean, we're excited to see him, but I think we're probably not going to see the best of him yet until probably we have a team out there, majority first team players that are going to play sort of 60, 70 minutes. So I think at the moment it's about getting his fitness up, getting some minutes under him, and yeah, slowly, bit by bit, taking up his overall match fitness.
Ricky, just 2 minutes on the pitch and Luca Williams-Barnett, what a great effort, and he hit the bar. A lot of people right now are very, very excited about Luca Williams-Barnett. How excited are you?
Mate, I'm super excited, but at the same time, trying to be calm at the same, trying to be as calm as I can be at the same time. It's lovely to see someone from our youth academy come through, and it's lovely to see them shine in this particular environment and in these circumstances, in big stadiums, big crowds, away from home. competing against some of the first teamers and the elite ones and trying to earn your spot. I think it's been fantastic for him. We've heard his name a lot over the last couple of seasons in the youth, and to see him in the first team and to see him with no fear and wanting to express himself and wanting to make a name for himself, it's just exciting, my friend. At the same time, he needs to be nurtured. If he does go out on loan, he needs to go to a league and a team in which can help him flourish in the position that he wants to play, but also in the style that he wants to play. I would like him to go out to a Dutch team, for instance. Do you know what I mean? And just kind of get that technical training every single week, and the way that they think and see and apply themselves to games. I think that would match him for a year or so and really benefit him. But I'm super excited to see him in the side. I'm super excited for him to start staking a claim. I just want us to nurture him well and not to rush him too much. Like, not every single youth is going to be Mbappe or Yamal. The thing is with young ones, they all find their peak at different times. Growing pains, you know, Janai Byfield right now has got growing pains in his back and stuff. Like, they've got all of this to contend with. So until they're like 21, 22, we don't really see the best of them. We don't really see them in their full form yet. So let's nurture him. Let's give him everything that he needs to cultivate that expression that he has between his left and his right foot, which is dynamite. And yeah, man, I think that we've got a star of the future there alongside Mikey Moore as well. Just one thing on Tonali. The one thing that Tonali reminds me of, right? And Chris, you know, I've said it for a long time. I love Dutch football. I love the Dutch team and Dutch players and stuff like that. And when we signed Edgar Davids, right, there was a friendly. You know, the last friendly before the season starts. It's normally at home. And me, my dad, and my little sister, we went to the friendly. And Edgar came, so he didn't start the game, but he came off the bench. And this is what reminds me of Tonali. When Edgar came off, just his sheer presence and his class made every single other player raise their bar in the first 11. And I just see that with Tonali. He is a classy operator. He has got quality in bundles. And just him walking onto the field, I feel that same thing where everybody else is like, "Oh, Tonali's here. We better step up. We better make sure everything, you know." And I just see that almost like their chests rising and their heads rising and go, "Okay, cool, let's go for it." He is class personified. Yeah, aura. He is class personified, and we ain't like Uchi said there. We ain't gonna see what he can do right now until the first our potential first team is out there playing. But right now, him finding his feet, playing his philosophy and finding the balls in the corner, do you know what I mean, to the left winger or the right-sided winger, and through ball, I think that he's just finding his feet right now. He's taking it easy. Not taking it easy. I'm not saying that he's not working, but he's figuring out the runs and he's figuring out what needs to be done right now. But when he steps onto the field, it's just class, mate. And it just feels like class. It feels like you've just walked into Harrods. Do you know what I mean? You know, the aircon feels different and the perfume smells different in Harrods. And that's what it feels like when Tonali walks on that field.
Great analogy.
Kate, on 54 minutes, Sydney got their equaliser. The ball was played through. Kota Takai seemed to have got a slight touch, and then, of course, it was passed to Bravka. What did you make of the goal?
It was a bit unlucky, really. I think Takai tried to intercept it, didn't they? And it diverted right into the path of the goal scorer. So it was a bit unlucky, but I do think it was coming. You know, they had that lob that they did from the halfway line. Then they had the other lob that went wide, and you kind of thought, whoa, you know, there's something in the tank for them here. So I do think it was coming, and they probably maybe deserved it. So, but I don't put too much blame on Takai. I don't think it was really his fault. It was just the way the ball fell. So, yeah, I didn't take much into it. I just thought it was a bit of an unlucky goal, really, to be honest.
Kate, you mentioned Andy Robertson earlier. Now on 66 minutes, De Zerbi made 5 subs. Robertson came on, and he was also given the captain's armband. Donnelly, Scarlett, Yang, and Mason Melia also came on. Solomon, Richarlison, Gray, Gallagher, and Hall all went off. Robertson, I tell you what, he has a lot of quality, doesn't he?
I kind of see Robertson as the same sort of, in the same way that Ricky just described Tonali. You come on and he's got this air about him, this professionalism, like been there, done that. He's a leader. Yeah. You can feel he's a leader. And, you know, I saw a lot of football fans, Liverpool fans, saying, oh, Tottenham fans think they're getting Robertson. He's nothing like he was. There's life in that old dog, yeah. You know, you could see it. He's hungry for this new challenge. You could, you know, seems weird calling him an old dog because he's a lot younger than me. But you know what I mean? In footballing terms, the crosses he did were brilliant. You could see him running forward. I am really excited. I wasn't overly enamoured by it when it first happened. I'm not going to lie. I sort of went, oh, it's a bit underwhelming. But when I watched him today, albeit against lower opposition, I just see a fire in him again. And maybe this is what he needed. Maybe sometimes you get stale at a club. You go to a new club, a new challenge, new manager, new teammates, and that fire ignites again. And I think he's going to surprise us all this season. I really do, because I think he's got a lot to offer. And those crosses were absolutely brilliant. I mean, he was unlucky not to get 2 assists, and then he nearly scored. Yeah. So, you know, that's quite in the space of, I think it was a few minutes. But unfortunately, Yang again, I'm not at all impressed with him, I'm afraid.
Yeah, on that subject, after 68 minutes, ball played back to Tonali and the ball was saved. And then a couple of minutes later, as you mentioned there, Kate, Robertson, great cross in. Defender got a slight touch, but Yang missed. And he missed a glorious chance as well against MK Dons, which he should have done a lot better. And like Ricky said earlier, when everyone is, you know, having opportunities, being given opportunities under Roberto De Zerbi, and you know, having auditions, it's not the best, is it?
No, and this is what's frustrated me about Will Lancashire going, because I look at that and think he buries that all day long. Will Lancashire's got that bit about him. I don't see it with Yang at all. I think we're going to have to just cut our losses, because this guy, you know, I know it's hard to judge pre-season, but he's done absolutely nothing at all to convince me in any way, shape or form that he's going to be of any use to us at all. I think if that ball goes to a lot of other players, it goes in. You know, I would put Van der Ven would probably score that. Gallagher scores it. It just seems really, I don't know if it's nerves, I don't know if he's rusty. It just doesn't seem capable in front of goal. And we've got quite enough of that already. We don't need another one. So, yeah, for me, he's not good enough. He needs to go, I'm afraid.
Kate, if we do not sign a number 9, where are the goals coming from? Are you confident that Richarlison, if he stays, are you confident that the likes of Solanke are going to score the goals that we need and require for the season?
No, I'm not. I think if we don't buy a number 9, we need to buy, and this is what I'm not convinced with Savinho, because Tell doesn't score loads of goals and Savinho doesn't score loads of goals. So we need to make up for it in a different way, either by buying a winger that's going to be sort of give you a good output of goals and assists, or a Morgan Gibbs-White type midfielder that's going to give you goals and assists. The trouble is, I don't think I've ever known the striker market to be like it is, and there just isn't number 9s around anymore. So I don't know which way they're going to go. I mean, I'm still hoping that we might go for a Marmoush, because I actually really rate him. But I mean, for Bournemouth to demand 110 million for Krupi is, for me, I mean, it's just madness. But I have no confidence at all in Richarlison and Solanke at all.
Yeah, I also think the whole Krupi fee, I think that is also fake news, because they clearly do not want to sell. Yeah. And there is no price being given because they do not want to sell. And that is as simple as that. But the last week of the transfer window, we all know anything can happen if firm offers are made. So watch this space. But I agree with you. You know, people have been asking me in the pub all day about you know, number 9s. Who on earth can Spurs go after? That is a very, very good question right now. Archie, let's come to you. We mentioned Yang there. 3 minutes later, it was another Robertson cross. Great ball in after a good move from Tottenham Hotspur. Yang then headed wide. After 78 minutes, Tingy and Byrne came on. Kiamat and Hardy went off. After 84 minutes, Thames shot at Dubravka. Dealt with that comfortably. On 85 minutes, Robertson, as Kate mentioned there, had a shot saved. On 88 minutes, Williams-Barnett had a chance at the goalkeeper. And then another one which went deflected wide for a corner. And then Mason Melia headed wide on 90 minutes. And then Williams-Barnett again over the bar. Now, how excited are you by Luca Williams-Barnett, Orchie? And how does Spurs play this situation? A 17-year-old, probably too young to go out on loan. Is he going to be a wild card for Roberto De Zerbi in the Premier League?
I think there's a potential. We all know in the history of the Premier League, there's always been players who've come through 16, 17. And the old saying is, if you're good enough, you're old enough, you know. So, and he has genuinely impressed. Although, yes, you know, the opposition, we have to take that into consideration as well. However, he is showing a maturity, a confidence that is definitely beyond his years. And I think there's definitely a player there that plays with intent. Like we said, something that we've missed and we desperately want in the team. And what was interesting was when he first came on, he went on the left. He played as a left winger, and when Robertson came on, him and Robertson actually exchanged really well, and they were overlapping each other, and they were playing really good with each other. So he might not be obviously a first 11 starter, but there's no reason why, because of his age, he could be a good squad player to bring on sometimes with 20 minutes to go to change things up a little bit. I think you can see there's this. I mean, I saw like his running and his footwork is fantastic, and he can clearly use both feet, and he seems to glide past players like they're not even there. The only thing is today, yes, I did think he let himself down a little bit with his final decision. There were some situations where he took the shot or he tried to score when he could have squared it. There was other players, there were passes available which he didn't quite take. But again, that's his age, that's his lack of experience, and certainly even in this pre-season, with more game time, with more instructions from De Zerbi, I mean, I can imagine him, analyzing his game, analyzing those situations, and giving him feedback on that. And that will only, help with his development. But definitely, I think there's a potential there that I think could be cultivated over the coming season. He will benefit hugely with the quality of the players that are going to be in the first team and the squad that we're building. It's impossible for it not to rub off on him, and to even help fast track his development even more. Spending time with these top quality players is only going to develop him better. But on the core of it, you can see there is a special player there. There is definitely a lot of skills, a lot of ability, a lot of confidence as well for that sort of age. Definitely, and also the penalty that he took once the game went into penalties. It was very cheeky. So you see a bit of that kind of cheeky youth in there as well. So clearly, he enjoys his game. He enjoys, and he looks like he's full of confidence. And these games that he's played in the preseason will have only added to that. But he's got what I would say is obviously, and I'm sure De Zerbi's going to make sure of that. He's got to keep his feet firmly on the ground. He hasn't done anything, amazing yet. There's just a lot of fantastic promise there, and he just got to get his head down, apply himself, and just listen to the boss and listen to the senior players around him. But there's definitely a special player there for the future, for sure.
Ricky, let's come to you. Of course, after the 90 minutes, it finished 1-1, so it went to penalties. Spurs eventually won 4-2 on penalties. as Archie mentioned there, Williams-Barnett with the first penalty that we're about to see now, a Panenka. What a fantastic penalty from the youngster, and the confidence of this rising star at Tottenham Hotspur. Of course, Sydney then scored, making it 1-1. Tonali then put Spurs 2-1 up. Sydney then scored again, so it was 2-2. Robertson took the third penalty for Tottenham, making it 3-2. Sydney then missed. Joe Lacey missing, hitting the post, so it remained 3-2. Jamie Donnelly then had his penalty saved, so it remained 3-2. And then Dubravka then saved, it remained 3-2. And then Dane Scarlett scored the winning penalty, making it 4-2. What do you make of the penalties from the Spurs players this evening?
Nice, confident, compact. It's always a lottery when it comes down to penalties. We know that. But I felt that the boys, they didn't look afraid to me. They didn't look afraid at all. They looked like, okay, cool, let's go for it. And, even when Donnelly missed, I didn't see any panic, really. And maybe that's because it's preseason. Maybe that's because it's a quote unquote friendly, but they attacked it with confidence. And that's another great thing to see when you see some of these young ones stepping up in these moments. And like you say there, the Panenka goal by Barnett, I mean, it shows you everything about him, right? It's a great glimpse into where his head and where his confidence is at. Is that, against Sydney in Australia, with that crowd behind that goal, he was like, "No, it's all right. This is what I'm going to do." I think it's fantastic for the future. I think it's fantastic to see that glimpse into his mentality and how he sees himself. And it was professional, bro. It was professional. And for Dubravka to get a save as well, I thought it was really good. I thought overall that he worked well for a game. And we are just building right now, little bit by little bit. And I think it was just another example of them being confident with the manager, with the players in and around them, and with the way that they're playing football, the way that they approach those penalties, Chris. But the one thing that I'd ask you, because I know that you've been in New Zealand and now you're out in Australia, what has it been like with the New Zealand Spurs, like with the Spurs, where they send a lot to channel all of us doing? How's it been? How's the response been? And big to both New Zealand Spurs and Aussie Spurs as well. Sending you bigness when you thought we could see the love and the passion of out there wearing shirt and playing in front of them. So I'm really happy that they got to do that and experience that, and that's one of the benefits of preseason and going around the world with preseason, is that you do get to, and especially you, Chris, you get to interact and with fans across the world that love this team. They don't get to see it every week, but they love and breathe this team. And I just thought a great opportunity to ask you, like, before the game today, what has the fans been like, bro? The people that you've met on the trip away?
Ricky, I'll tell you what, wherever I go on any of these tours, they are absolutely delighted that Tottenham Hotspur are in town, and they get to see Spurs in their home cities, home countries, etc. And the fact that Spurs didn't go to New Zealand in 50 years, they were absolutely buzzing in Auckland that Tottenham Hotspur were there. And of course, the Oz Spurs group today, they were all buzzing, excited. James Black put on a fantastic show, had a quick word with him before the game. And everyone's absolutely buzzing. And everyone feels really excited again. Like we've mentioned, it's been a very, very tough couple of years, certainly in the Premier League and especially last season. 3 different managers on the verge of relegation, and everyone's feeling excited again. So I tell you what, full respect, and I say this every single pre-season when you ask me this question, full respect to these people, because they get up at 1, 2, 3, 4 a.m. you do not realise, because I'm recording this now at 1:05 in the morning, and when I'm getting up, you guys are going to bed, and vice versa. And I tell you what, when Spurs have not been playing well, particularly like last season, these people were still getting up. They were still dedicated to watch Tottenham Hotspur on the TV 2-3 o'clock in the morning, then going to work, and then going about their daily business. So I always have full respect for everyone, but they are always buzzing when Spurs are in town. And, from what I understand as well, that a number of the players have been walking around Auckland, they've been walking around Sydney, and it's so relaxed here in these two countries, and people don't mob them or bombard them for selfies, autographs, etc. They just leave them, going about their daily business, which is really nice. But yeah, the vibe here is really, really nice. Really love New Zealand. Really love it here in Sydney, and these trips are just very, very quick, and you don't get to spend much time actually in them. But yeah, these are two areas and two places where I'd love to come back and spend more time. But yeah, absolutely brilliant, Ricky. So, yeah, thanks for asking that.
And what, bruv, like, what's your favorite beer that you've had, and what's your favorite dish that you've had, either in New Zealand or Australia right now? I need to know.
So in New Zealand, every pub that I went into, and I did actually go into quite a few, I said, you know what I'm like, Ricky? I always like to have the local stuff. Always like to have the local beers or the local food. So it made me look stupid, actually, because every pub I went into in New Zealand, I said I'd like a New Zealand beer. And they'd look at me really stupidly and say, they all are New Zealand beers. They all are. And one particular bar lady, she said, you can work your way through them. And one of them was called the Bastard as well. I don't know whether you saw that.
I did. I saw that.
Yeah, very funny. Very funny. It wasn't very nice, but I expect the Bastard isn't very nice. So
that's why it's called the Bastard.
It was a nasty bastard.
But yeah, great food. I tell you what, God, I had a very nice salmon. I had a very nice salmon earlier here, and it was funny because we're in this place. I wanted to get it to take away because we're in a rush to go to the game, etc. And I was going to have this particular fish, and they turned around and said that it was from New Zealand. And I'm very, I always like to have the local stuff. So I said, no, I can't have that. Now I'm in Australia. I can't have New Zealand stuff. So then they did me an Australian salmon. So that was very, very nice.
How did you know it's Australian? Did it have a hat on it with corks coming off it? Or I mean, how did you know?
Well, they were an award-winning fish and chip shop, Kate. So I had to take their word for it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough about eating and drinking. Right. Last question for you all. Kate. If you could have your dream transfer window, what needs to happen from now until the end of the window?
Oh, my dream transfer window would be Sart Bergvall gone, Richie gone. I would bring in Morgan Gibbs-White. I would bring in Marmoush, and I would bring in either. I don't know if he's complete. There was rumours Akliouche was going to PSG. I don't know if that's still on. Either an Akliouche or even a Gakpo, someone like that for the wing. And I would be 10 out of 10, smiling from ear to ear. For me, if I could only have one, I mean, I love Morgan Gibbs-White. I think he's an absolute game changer for us, but I do think we need someone up front. And I know there's not a lot around, but I've been a big advocate of Marmoush, and I also like Voltemada as well from Newcastle. I just think he's not used correctly by Eddie Howe, and I think if he's used properly as a focal point, he's so tall, he's so good in the air, he could be really, really good for someone. So yeah, that's dreamland stuff for me.
What about you, Audrey?
You kind of touched on it earlier, Chris. I think I know in the past, we've said many a times, oh, that this player is not for sale, that player is not for sale. And then when clubs come and they put a firm, serious bid in, and it's difficult. And especially when the player hears it, if the player says, no, I want to go, then there is nothing that could be done. So I would like us to test Bournemouth's resolve on Krupi. Go for Krupi. I don't know, slap 80 million on the table with another 5-10 million or whatever based on performances, etc., and test their resolve, and also test the player as well, because the player might turn around and say, you know what, I want to go, I want to play for De Zerbi, I want to play for Tottenham. In which case, that then changes the whole conversation. I mean, no club is going to want to keep force a player to stay that doesn't want to play for you anymore. So I think we need to test Bournemouth's resolve on Krupi, and I know I'm going to get a lot of stick for this, but if another few weeks go by and we don't hear anything in the news, and Kane hasn't signed a new contract, why don't we test Kane's resolve? I don't know why. As I said in our group chat, if I'm De Zerbi and let's say we secure Krupi as well, look, the club never match your ambition, but I'm here now, and look what we're doing. Look what the club are doing. This is a completely new Tottenham, Harry. Come back and lead this team. I want to go for the Premier League next season. I want to go for a cup next season. Come and help me achieve those. Help me get into the Champions League, and let's win some silverware together. And then it will also mean you can beat Alan Shearer's record, all-time Premier League top scorer as well. Become, write headlines. I think that's what De Zerbi wants. He wants to immediately from this upcoming season, he wants to write headlines. He wants to come into this league with a bang. And so, again, I'm not saying it will be done for all I know next week or later this week. We'll see in the news he signed his new contract with Bayern. I'm not saying that he would come, but why don't we test it? Why? Because Tottenham are behaving. Again, I have to give full credit to the club and to this new hierarchy. The children of Joe Lewis. We are acting in a way that we've never, ever seen Tottenham do, especially since the start of the Premier League era. So this is a new Tottenham. Like, you cannot say, oh, we didn't do this before, we didn't do that before. We all know we've never really had a transfer window like this before. And club are they're standing behind everything that they've said so far. I would have liked to have seen this last summer, to be honest, but then we didn't really have a manager, whereas now we have a manager who, as Ricky and also Kate have said, he has a style of play, he has a philosophy, and it's the kind of football that we love to see at Tottenham. And he's building, I genuinely feel he's building something special here. And I believe he also sees this upcoming season as a unique opportunity, because a lot of the top teams are also in transition. Liverpool has got a new manager. They've lost some of their, they're going through a transition. Chelsea, new manager, going through transition. Man United, all right, Carrick did really well last season, but they're going to have their hands full with, Champions League and League. So, and, Arsenal, they've got already Saliba out for a long period, and they haven't really done much in the transfer window. So a lot of teams, and even teams like Bournemouth and Brighton, they got European football next season. We don't. So there is, I honestly see this upcoming season for us to do something seriously impressive. I mean, look, Leicester, they barely avoided relegation that season that they did, and then the following season they beat us to the Premier League title. I'm not saying, again, Kate, don't kill me for this, I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but there's no reason why we cannot break into that top four and get Champions League football. There's no reason why we can't push whoever ends up being the champion till like the final weeks of the season for that Premier League title. And I think that's what De Zerbi will not come out and say it publicly, but I genuinely believe that's what he wants to do. He wants to write headlines. He wants to come next summer. He wants all the papers writing saying, look, barely avoided relegation the previous season. And then this season spent big, went after top players and, either won the league or, fought for the league and maybe won an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup in his full proper first season. setting up again a fantastic second, third, fourth seasons ahead. So honestly, I think this is a unique opportunity for De Zerbi, for the club themselves, for the ownership, and also for the players that are coming into this team that are going to, the squad that's going to be there after the transfer window finishes. Whatever squad we have there, they have a really, really good opportunity, and they should take it with both hands. We should really go for it this upcoming season, and that's why I'm really excited. So, but yeah, that's my honest opinion.
Ricky, lastly with you, and I ought to mention as well, talking to many Australians today, your name has cropped up a number of times, them stating how much they love you on this podcast.
Love you all, man. Love you too, man. Love you too. Bless you. So big love out to all the New Zealand fans, all the Aussie fans, sending you big love from the garden in the UK with a little bit of sun. But yeah, man, bless you. Keep following us, keep watching the show, keep subscribing, liking, and all of that jazz. And we will have a lot more fun for you coming up this season. You know, it's going to be a bumper ride. You know, it's going to be an exciting one too. So make sure you do that. But love out to all you fans. For me, bro, dream signings wise, yeah, I'm with Kate in that there's a lot that we need to get rid of, and I think that's why there is a quiet period of time at this point, right? There's a couple of midfielders that we need to get rid of. You know, for me, I would get rid of both Richarlison and Solanke. For me, the one thing that is lacking in both of them is a real hunger for goals. You know, them being a goal machine, them being hungry and upset that they haven't scored that game. I don't see that desire in them to want to go and get 20 goals a season, or I just don't see that in them. So for me, what I would do is I'd go for Krupi, but I would also go for Osimhen, who I think is another goal machine, goal getter, loves a goal. Just leave him up there, give him the ball, and he will score it. And then, but my dream signing would be Kenan Yildiz on the left-hand side from Juventus. I think physicality-wise, he's big, he's strong. I think we need a bit of height. I think we need a bit of strength in the side as well. But he's running power. He can score from anywhere. He can score with both feet. I think the potential on that particular player is massive. And with Juventus and Italian football not having the most amount of money, if we was to put down some of this money that we're putting down in the Premier League, I think that there's, real potential for us to go and get him. The only caveat with Yildiz is that he loves Juventus and he's always wanted to play for Juventus. But, maybe he's done that and maybe he wants to move on to a new challenge. But I would love him out there on the left-hand side. That would be my dream three. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited for what's to come because for the first time ever, like I said earlier, to start with, the club are aligned. The club are actually, instead of going for an opportunity signing, they're going for one that makes a difference in a De Zerbi system.
Jimbo.
And that is massive. That is massive. Oh, is Jimbo there? I can't read it. I've got sun glare on it, so I can't see it. But big up to Jimbo, man. Big up to you. But that would be mine. That would be mine, bro.
Thank you, Ricky. I tell you what, I just can't think of anything else now but Australian salmon.
You know what?
I hope it was Australia.
No, they
imagine if it was Scottish salmon on holiday, Chris.
No. They just poured Castlemaine Forex on the salmon, and it was like, yeah, it's Australian.
It's got to be. I don't think they would have done that. Jim writes here, Chris, Bing, Kate, of course we can fight for the league. One game a week. If we buy a great front line, there is no reason why we cannot fight for top spot. Well, I think there's a long way to go, and it's going to be a very interesting season. But I think whatever happens now, from now until the end of the transfer window, Roberto De Zerbi at the helm, it's certainly going to be a very different season than what it was last year. Kate, thank you so much for coming back. Always a pleasure having you on. Let's hope that we can have you back on again very, very soon. Where can people find your channel, the wonderful work that you and Jim do?
We are at Kate and Jimbo. It's quite easy. I'm Kate, he's Jimbo. So, why not call it Kate and Jimbo? But yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, we always do shows. We just started a new series. We had Deji on. We've got Billy T on Friday. Just talking Tottenham and how you fell in love with the club and all that malarkey. So yeah, watch alongs coming up as well in the new season. But look, it's one of my favourite places to come, Chris. So I will always make time. If I'm invited, I will be there. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I know you only ever come here because Ricky's on.
Well, I used to come here to see Ricky, but he's nasty now, so I don't anymore.
Nasty.
Listen, listen, I've tried to set you up a GoFundMe to get you a new pair of glasses, with a proper colour. I've done that for you. How can you? That's out of order.
Well, I didn't think it was possible, but we do now have someone who talks just as much as Ricky Norwood. We have Ulchi.
Yes. I'm like Ricky's understudy. When he's not available, you can have me on.
Now, listen,
Thanks,
we're
guys.
a good partnership. We're a good partnership, Ulchi. You see, that's why
Definitely,
they put us
man.
like this. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Ulchi, where can people find you on social media if they would like to?
Instagram, guys. All Spurs fans would love to, connect with you. So that's my Instagram handle, London_Ulchi. Already a few people have added me on, so please, whoever else, add me on, DMs and etc. That'll be lovely to hear from you.
Ricky, great to have you back. Enjoy the sunshine. And where can people find you?
You guys know where you can find me, man. You can find me on X at Ricky J Norwood, on Insta, official Ricky Norwood. But you can always find me. Me and my brother Darren Hart, we just put out a transfer special. We was off for the summer, but we put out, I forced Darren to put out a transfer special of T-Talk and Tottenham, where I take over the studio and literally, Chris, I nearly break everything. There's no footage. The camera's not working for the first 4 minutes. The sound flicks off. I swear to you, man, I'm never breaking into the studio again. This is why I need help. But we done it. So it's out there. T-Talk and Tottenham, all one word on YouTube. Episode 17, the transfer special so far. So you can find me there as well. But I'll be back on here as many times as I can be, and you'll hear me. I've got a play coming up as well, so there will be part of the season that I miss. But as many times that I can be on, I will be on. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited for the rest of this transfer window. I'm excited for how this season's going to go. And here's to a lot more smiles and a lot more streams. Come on, you Spurs.
Yes. Man. Yes, a lot more smiles. I'm definitely up for that. Ricky, thank you so much. Kate, thank you. Ulchi, thank you. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. And exciting stuff. And we face Chelsea next here in Sydney, Australia. And then, of course, it is back to the UK. More pre-season friendlies. But the Premier League campaign is just around the corner. And let's hope that we can sign some very, very good statement signings for Roberto De Zerbi in that final third. And like we've all been talking about this evening, it could be a 10 out of 10 transfer window. Thanks so much.
Could I just add one quick thing, just very quickly, Chris? Just want to say thank you as well for all your hard work. Amazing channel, mate. And you go around all these far places every pre-season. And you hardly get any sleep, and you bring us lots of coverage. I follow all your videos that you put out there of training and everything else, mate. Honestly, it's amazing. And also the channel, 220,000 subscribers now with 227 million views.
Wow.
Go Chris.
Wow.
Thank you, Ulchi. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
You,
and that's a really good point. Thank you so much to everyone who does subscribe, because in the last 24 hours we have hit 220,000 subscribers, which honestly, these numbers are just simply incredible. And someone actually come up to me today and said, I started watching you when you did the stadium updates, and that does seem a very, very long time ago. And to get to this stage where you're getting that many subscribers and that many views is just absolutely insane. It really, really is. We all do, people like me and Ricky who are here every week, we just talk about Spurs and just have fun.
Salmon. Bastard beers.
Exactly.
On that note, I'm off to have a salmon. Cheers, everyone.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.